Welcome again to our channel. Thank you so much for joining us today in this new video. And as you guys might notice, this is the first video that me and Mike, we are not together in person. Now Mike is in US, I'm here in Brazil, but we want to keep doing those videos even though it's quite different, but we want to keep going with this channel. So thank you so much if you're already subscribed. And if you don't, please subscribe, comment, share with your friends. We really love to have you here and we're doing that for you. So keep tuned with us. So in this video, we are gonna talk about the famous K1 visa.
Dun, dun, dun.
What is that? Yeah, what is that? Who can apply? How does it work to apply? How much it costs? So we are gonna go into these details with you. But before we even start, let me say something. We are not an immigration attorney specialists on this subject. We are a couple that we've been through this process. We are not done yet. And you know, we just want to encourage you to do your own search. You learn so much if you read, and we are here like a source for you, but it's not the primary and the most correct because we also have doubts, okay? But let's start off on, and what is the visa? What is this K1 visa? So the K1 visa is intended to people that are fiancé of a US citizen, and you intend to go to US and marry this person. It's a non-immigrant visa. So there are several types, but this is the initial one for people that are engaged and want to start a family in the US. And the timeline is basically that. You get your K1 visa, you go to US, you get married, and then you are a spouse. So you have to update your status to a spouse and then get your green card. So all of that take time, take money, and we are gonna go through this. So don't get overwhelmed because it's not that difficult. We just need to understand the phases to be perfect, okay? And the intention of getting this visa is, like I said before, if you want to marry a US citizen and if you want to live in the US, that's for you. Or if your US fiancé cannot live with you in your home country, that's also a visa for you. So how much this costs, because this is crucial, I know. To initiate, you have to have at least $800. So you will apply for the visa, do your first applications, you know, and this process for the visa, the K1, it can take up from 12 months to 15 months, unfortunately. And after you get married, you are in US, you get married, then you have to change your status and get your green card. And for that process, it's more $1,000, around $1,000 to $1,500. And you also have an additional timeline to wait, that is 4 to 6 months, okay? Can you tell me more, babe?
Who can actually get this K1 visa? So either you or your fiance must be a US citizen. You and your fiance must plan to marry each other within 90 days after you arrive in the US. You and your fiance can legally marry in the United States, and any of your past marriages were legally terminated by divorce, death, or annulment. Annulment means you're married and you canceled it, right?
Yes, it means that you must be single.
Yes. And additionally, same-sex partners are also eligible for the K-1 visas. Okay. Another point here is that you and your fiance must have met in person at least once within 2-year period before you file your application. All right. Let me restate that. So within a 2-year period, you must have met at least once this person that you're applying for or that you want to live with. So there's a lot. Yeah.
It cannot be like long distance relationship forever. You have to be in person at least once, guys. So if your fiance really loves you, then yeah, you guys have to make this effort.
Yeah. And there are waivers that you can apply for if meeting in person violates any religious or cultural practices or creates some type of extreme hardship where you guys cannot meet. Okay. On the topic of income, now your US citizen fiance's household income has to be at least 100% of the federal poverty guidelines. So if their income is below this amount, which I'll include the links on the screen, or at least in the notes, and they have to submit a supplemental form, which is called the I-864 or the form I-864A. So they have to submit that with their application, and I will put the link in the notes for you. Lastly, as far as the requirements, you must prove that your relationship is legitimate. So you can demonstrate this with evidence from the beginning of your relationship to your engagement. So this means this could be pictures, this could be any other types of evidence showing that you guys were together, maybe dinner receipts or family pictures, things like that, over a period of time, showing that you guys have a legitimate relationship and you have an intent to get married.
Yeah, in our case, for example, we keep the flight tickets, receipts from hotels, dining, and places that we go. We always take pictures, make videos. So yeah, okay, so yeah, that's a lot of things. But let's just imagine you got your man, you got your woman, and you both want to get married and move ahead with this visa process. So where to start? How to start? So it can be a little bit overwhelming, but let me tell you, it's not very complicated. If you just focus and see that we are talking about 4 steps. Let's break down all of them, and then Mike is gonna explain a little bit better about them, okay? So the first big step is to fill the form. It's called I-129F. And that's when you gather all your documents, and Mike is gonna explain a little bit better, but it's the first real step that you have to do. It's filling this form. And once you send this form to the consulate, they're gonna check it out and see if everything is fine. You get an approval and you receive an invitation to schedule your interview. And lots of people wait a long time for that, but that's normal right now nowadays. And after you schedule your interview, you're gonna fill another form, and this is the DS-160. Once you do that, you're gonna schedule, you have already your interview scheduled, you go to the interview and you pay the fee, and then you just wait the approval or the denial, because yes, unfortunately it can be denied. But if you're approved, then you have your visa and you have to go to US and marry your loved one. So now that we are recording this video, we are still on the step number 1. We already sent the I-129F form. We are waiting them to analyze everything and give us the approval to schedule our interview. It's 9 months already, and we are so anxious, but it takes time. We have to be patient and just focus that everything will be fine, So that's where we are right now. And And by the way, you might think, well, but I saw some videos of you getting married. What? Okay, that's another point, guys. We took the risk because when we applied for the visa almost 1 year ago, the timeline for this K1 visa was 7 months. So by that time, we planned our wedding in 7 months. And during this time, lots of things happened. Mike is gonna tell about it, but it changed the timeline for 13 months. So yeah, we took the risk of doing only the party. It was just the religious ceremony. It is not official here in Brazil, so we are not legally married. And that's very important, guys, because depending on your country, if you have a religious wedding, sometimes it can be legit, another word that I cannot say. It can be a real marriage, and K1 visa is just for single people. You cannot be married. So we know we are taking the risk, and lots of people have done that. They didn't have any problem, but we know what we are doing. We are not like blinded to the fact that it can confuse the government, and we just need to be sure and ready for the questions, you know?
Okay, guys, so let's break down these 4 steps just a little bit more. So first, the I-129F, that is the K1 visa petition. It's also called the petition for alien fiancé. We're not talking about aliens from outer space or Mars, but that's just what they call Millie.
Yeah.
So so this has to be filed with the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, also known as the USCIS. The purpose of this form is to prove that your relationship is legitimate. This must be completed by a lawful permanent resident. And this is different than just a green card holder. They have to be a real US citizen. So we'll go more into depth in another video on that. But essentially, this is where you prove your identity and your intent through photos, biometrics, and other evidence of a legitimate relationship. So how long is the wait? Well, we already have an indication. It's going to take a while. Expect over a year. Visa processing essentially came to a complete halt during the pandemic. So there's a huge backlog, as you can imagine. So they're finally working through this, and the statuses are, the notifications are coming quicker now for petitioners. So that's really, really good news. After waiting and waiting and waiting, and then more waiting, the 129F is finally approved, and you receive the notice from the National Visa Center. So this is going to be based at the closest embassy to you. So this notice is what's going to provide the date, the location of your required visa interview. It's also going to include a list of additional supporting documents and instructions on how to provide these documents to your local U.S. embassy. It's important that you make sure that the contact information that you provide on the form 129F is correct, or you may not receive this notice, and that's really going to suck for you. So when you receive this invitation, you need to complete the DS-160. That is the K1 visa application. So print that off and take it with you to the interview. So this is the critical moment. You need to get this right, to follow all the instructions and bring more details than what you think that you need with you to the interview, because it's your job to prove beyond all doubt that you have a true intent to marry. Okay, so what does the foreign fiancé need to bring to the interview? Okay, so here's a checklist. We'll put it on the screen. So you need 2 passport style photos in the US size. If you come from Europe, they have different sizes on those passport pictures. So make sure it is compatible with the US passports, okay? You need to bring your birth certificate. You need a copy of your valid, unexpired passport. There are some countries that the US might accept an expired passport. You need to check with that on your own and make sure that you're clear for that, right? So, of course, best policy, bring a completely valid, unexpired passport. You may need police clearances from all countries where you have lived for more than 6 months since you were 16 years old. Okay, that's a big one. You also need, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, baby, to interrupt, but it also includes cities. If you've been like living in different states in your country, they need from each state that you've been.
Yep.
At least here in Brazil.
Yeah. So double check with the USCIS on the policy for that country and everything you're going to need for that. Okay. Lastly, you're going to need a sealed medical exam form. You get this from an immigration medical exam doctor. It's an approved doctor by the USCIS to perform your medical exam to make sure that you are fit and well to enter the United States. This is a sealed medical form. Do not open it under any circumstance, okay? The third step is to attend the visa interview. So this is going to take place at the U.S. Embassy or the consulate listed on the notice that you received from the National Visa Center. This will probably be the embassy or the consulate in the foreign fiancé's home country. And this is going to take place 4 to 6 weeks after you received that notice or that invitation to go to the interview. So only the foreign fiancé needs to attend the visa interview. This interview is usually pretty straightforward and painless, okay? Again, there is some money involved. There's going to be a $265 fee for the K1 fiancé visa. You're going to usually pay this when you leave the interview, right? Or before you go in. At some point in the interview, you're going to have to pay some money, okay? And it's going to be about $265, okay? But every embassy or consulate has its own requirements. So be sure to follow the instructions in that notice that you received from the embassy or the consulate that's handling your case. The consular officer who conducts your visa interview will usually make the decision on the same day as the interview. So if they need any additional information or evidence, they're going to ask you to submit it to the U.S. consulate or the embassy after the interview. Okay. And finally, get married. So once your K1 visa application has been approved, you're going to receive that sealed visa packet. Do not open this packet under any circumstance. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection agent that's waiting for you when you arrive in the U.S. is going to inspect you at the border, and they're going to ask for it. So they may not allow you to enter the United States if that packet is opened or tampered with. So do not touch. Okay? Anyway, rules of the road. Let's just recap this. You must enter the U.S. within 4 months of the visa approval. You must marry within 90 days after entering the U.S. Okay. You I've heard it also being 6 months within visa approval. You have to enter the U.S. Double check on that. The latest information that we had is that it's 4 months. Okay. So just want to call that out. So again, you have to marry within 90 days after entering the U.S. So think of 90-day fiancé, right? You've heard it. I know you have, right? So 90 days after entering the U.S., you must be married. And if you do not enter in those 90 days, you will lose your visa. If you decide not to marry, you must go home. And you can only marry the person who applied for you. Okay?
That's important, guys.
Yes.
Marry that person.
Yep. So, yes. So take a look at those rules. And if you have any questions, let us know, okay? But after you get married, the foreign spouse can then apply for the marriage green card by filing the form I-185. And that's going to be the adjustment of status, okay? All right.
Yes, guys, I know it can be a little bit overwhelming, but don't be afraid, okay? Don't be afraid. Just educate yourself, search, read. We are still on this process and we are going to keep bringing more updates to you guys. But if you have questions, please comment below. We might not know all the answers, but if we know, we will be glad just to answer and clarify that for you. Another good hint that it worked for us is, join Facebook groups. And this is Naninha, my cat. She wants to be part of that. Join Facebook groups, guys. They can help you a lot with those questions. They are so kind, and really it makes a difference, you know. And lastly, don't forget, we are here as a couple and we also have lots of questions. We are not the legal resource for that. So don't take everything like if it is the truth, because we are still learning. So search yourself and just be comfortable and go with your visa and with your fiance, and please get married. So what else can I say? Well, I think we covered it all, right, babe?
I think you got it.
Okay, so guys, please subscribe, leave us a comment, thumbs up, and keep joining us in the next videos. It was very good to talk to you this day, and see you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.